Not so long ago, I was talking about the River Lee. Where I live, it's just a stream. And in this episode, I've got a stream of call-ins. And the first one comes from first-time caller and seemingly is familiar with the other end of the River Lee, down in East London. Hello, I'm Colin Green and you are listening to Spike Pit.
Hi Colin, this is Mamading. As they say, long time listener, first time caller. I've been enjoying your drive-by episodes and I just had to respond to the very latest one for a couple of reasons. First off, 110% agree regarding inspiration. That's what fuels your games, whether you get it from books, comics, TV shows, history, wherever, theatre, whatever works for you. I could say loads more, but I won't at this point. Secondly, the River Lee. Oh my gosh, I grew up near Lea Bridge Road, and the River Lee was one of the local key points, so that was my backyard. All right, ciao, bye.
Big thanks to Mama Ding there. Awesome to hear a new voice, a new caller into the show. Hopefully you're still listening and getting inspired by some of the episodes. Sorry it's taken me so long to get around to incorporating this into a show. I've actually drafted a few episodes with some of these call-ins that you're going to hear coming up, but I wanted to give them a bit of a better reply, so I ended up not publishing. A bit of a tenuous link to streams there, perhaps, but this next call from Evil Jeff, I'm really clutching at straws. And in fact, after this one, I think I'm going to give up on streams altogether, and we're just going to have to call it, like I say, a stream of call-ins. But I do mention ducks, at least, or Jeff does.
Spike Pit, Evil Jeff. So just listen to your assimilation drive-by, and listening to your latest episode where you mentioned you're using DuckDuckGo for your search engine. Let's continue to get you off of the tracking grid and everything. Go ahead, and I don't know if you can do it on the Apple iPhone or not, since they like to lock things down too much. But see if you can find the Brave web browser. That prevents a lot of tracking there and would prevent Apple from tracking a lot of the stuff that you do as well on your iPhone. And if you're using an Android phone, hey, stop Google from tracking all of it. Hey, let's stick it to them.
Well, Jeff, if you're listening, you'll be glad to know that I've tried out Brave around the same time that I was talking about the evils of Google and how carrying a smartphone is a bit like wearing a tracking device. I came across Brave as a browser. I've been using it on my desktop and I find it to be really good. I use the DuckDuckGo search engine and the Brave browser, and I think I can honestly say I haven't looked back. But nonetheless, thank you very much for the recommendation. Anybody that hasn't tried it out, I would say give Brave a go. If you're fed up of Google tracking you and maybe Apple and whoever else, Brave does seem to do a good job of keeping tabs on all that sort of stuff.
Hey, Colin, Jason here. I often hear about the method of having players create their characters, their backgrounds, and then trying to tie those into the world. And I'm not poo-pooing that, but your idea there of doing kind of the around the table and getting all the different flavor in there for every player sounds like a really great way to build a world. So it's not just the GM's vision of the world, but there's something in there from everybody which helps keeps everybody engaged. So, great episode. The audio, by the way, is totally fine. Mind you, I do guerrilla podcasting off just my phone all the time, so I may not be the best judge. But honestly, I think the audio is perfectly fine. I wouldn't worry about it, man. Keep up the great work, and talk to you soon.
Yo, Colin, dude, I hear you about how important flavor is and how it's kind of weird we don't talk about it that much because we each have our own personal flavor that we like. But, it's good to try out other stuff too. Anyway, yeah, I'm right there with you as well on the Session Zero collaborative world building thing. And I was just thinking we could get rid of the whole concept of Session Zero and just make the collaborative world building and the expectation setting and all of that stuff just the first session. Everyone gets together, you have fun, you game it out, and yeah, you do it. Because what I really want to do before the next campaign I run is what you were talking about, something I've always wanted to do, is use Microscope to build the world and then kingdoms to build the little kingdom. I've never done it. I've heard about it. I've always wanted to, so I'm gonna. Peace out.
Joe and Jason calling in, coming out in support of collaborative world building. I love it. I don't know if I feel brave enough, though, Joe, to go out on a limb and strike Session Zero from the record. I have enough trouble with my suggestions about burning oil and mechanisms and all the various controversies that I seem to have inadvertently started off over the years. If I come out against Session Zero, I will well and truly get my I don't know, whatever membership card that I have will be torn up and thrown into the the vat of burning oil. I don't know, man. It doesn't make a lot of sense, really, does it? Having a Session Zero, calling it a Session Zero, it's a no session. If it's a no session, well, yeah, it's just the beginning of the game, let's face it. Everybody does this stuff differently. To give it one all-encompassing title, it's just another bit of jargon. People like us say things like this. If you don't know the jargon, oh dear, what to do? Yeah, I'm not fussed. The good thing about Session Zero, I guess, is a lot of people that do RPGs do at least understand the concept of it, or at least I think they do. Maybe that's a bit of an assumption. Got me thinking, Joe. You're going to get me in trouble. In fact, you've probably already got me in trouble. Thanks for the calls, guys. Oh, yeah, and awesome to hear that you're going to try out Microscope, Joe. I've only had one session of Microscope. It was part of a charity event. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And when you set off beginning to play it, you really have got no idea where it's going to take you. It is quite interesting, I must say. The other, the Kingdom version, I forget what you called it now, I have not tried, but perhaps that's something I should look into, or maybe I should call into your show with a question about it.
Hey, Colin, Jason here. Great episode on Small. I don't have that book. It sounds like that's a great go-to, something you take with you and always use as a pickup game, whatever. So my preferred microsystem is, you've actually played it, is from Deep 7 Games, and it's their 1PG system. We played Dashio, that samurai game I ran was using that system, and I've also used it to run 80s buddy cop movies. I've used it to run Space Cowboys a couple times. And what they offer, you can buy the individual games off DriveThruRPG, or you can get a print copy of the 1PG compendium, which has a bunch of different genres in there, and I have that. And so if I had just one microgame book, I would have that. The difference is it uses the same system for all the genres, unlike where your book has a bunch of different things. But yeah, great podcast.
A couple of call-ins from Jason in this episode then. It's always nice to have happy customers. Jason, if you're listening, I'm glad you enjoyed the review of the Micro RPG book. Forget the name of it now. I mean, that was over 24 hours ago. What chance have I got of recalling it now? But what I do recall is the game that we played at the day show. That was a great session. Can I remember who played in it? Yeah, I think Barney, Joe Salvador, myself, yourself. Did my brother play? Damn, but it was a good session. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. No, it's gone. But it seemed like a really nice and light system. I know you've talked about it before, and I would definitely at the drop of a hat play that again. Like you say, it was all. It is a sort of a, what would you call it? A generic system that is applied to different genres, but I've never experienced any of the others. Perhaps once I've got through this stack of 40 that I've just got hold of now, I should have another look at that. Calling in now with some feedback for an episode a little while back now is my buddy Che Webster. He recently put out an episode, a bonus episode on Roleplay Rescue, talking about how he does his podcasting. Now, reason he did this was because I called him with some queries. I just wanted a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, and he went whole hog, did a whole episode, went into some great depth, and really laid it all out. A how-to. Now, if you've never done a podcast, I urge you to go and have a listen, because he really does explain some nifty techniques. Interestingly, some of which are kind of uncannily similar to the way I do the podcast myself. One of the hacks that he mentions is one that I use in this episode, and that's using Anchor to just do some background music over your voiceovers. Super handy when you're just recording off a phone to give it a little bit of pizzazz. But yeah, I was so pleased to hear that Chad done this. I just sort of thought perhaps a few little tips, throw it in one of his call-in episodes, but like I say, he really pulled out all the stops. So if you're listening, Che, big thanks for that, man. I really enjoyed the episode. In his call-in, he mentions Seth Godin. Now, Akimbo is a podcast I've mentioned a couple of times. I didn't realise Che listens to Seth and has read a couple of his books. I have now read one of his books, and I continue to listen to the podcast. The guy, I think, is a bit of a legend. Maybe he's just a man of the hour for me, but I don't think so. Super interesting stuff. I guess I'm going to give it another recommendation. I'll leave you with Che. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Of course, you have heard from Mama Ding, Jeff, Evil Jeff from Minions and Musings, Jason Connolly of the Nerds RPG Variety Cast, and Joe Richter of Hindsightless. Couldn't have done it without you guys.
Hey Colin, it's Che. I was just listening to another episode of Kimbo by Seth Godin, and I wanted to thank you for the recommendation, which you made a few episodes back actually, and then you repeated in another recent one. Yeah, great stuff. I've been a fan of Seth for quite a while, read a couple of his books, and it's just really nice to be reminded of him. I didn't know he had a podcast. It's great. I'll sort of start from the beginning. And yeah, he got me reading one of his books as well. So thank you very much for that recommendation. Game on, man.
And that, as they say, is a wrap. Big thanks goes out to you, the listener, for taking a bit of time out of your day to listen to old Spike Pit. Take care, and I'll catch you later.